Sacred space. Wouldn't it be grand if we could all set up a space where we could go and feel completely at ease, balanced, joyful, just all the good feels, all the time, every time we are in this space. And would it not be wonderful if this space is our home, is the place that we are for a good majority of the time of our lives? That's what I want to go over today, and it's going to relate a bit to the pagan altar theme, but we'll get into that. So hello, merry meet everyone, I'm Witch Hazel, and on this channel I do like to explore the balancing of the divine and the mundane. And I do that through talking about the practical elements of witchcraft, as well as enhancing the spiritual side of a practice, whether that is just a spiritual practice or a religious practice. Today, I am going back to the theme a little bit of a pagan altar, because I did do a video not too long ago that I know you all liked on how to set up your altar. And I have also talked about my idea of the home altar, meaning my entire home is my altar. I do want to point out that this concept is not specific to paganism or witchcraft. Pretty much every religion out there, every spiritual practice has some form of altar. And this can be something very in-depth. It can be something very grandiose, or it can be extremely simple and more of a symbolic altar than anything else. So I wanted to bring it up again because, as pointed out, I'm in a new space. I've moved and I love this new space, but it is not mine. It is generic. I'm in an apartment building, so this is not the only unit that has this exact same look to it. The first thing, of course, that I wanted to do as I came into this new space was to make it mine. And when I say make it mine, I'm talking about creating a sacred space. I live here, I work primarily from home, so this is the space that needs to make me feel comfortable and safe and creative and all the things. So it's important. One of the reasons that I don't really keep traditional altars anymore is because they don't fit into my current view of altar space. This is because, as previously mentioned in my videos showcasing a minimal lifestyle, traditional altars, traditional witchcraft altars, or even religious altars, they can get pretty busy. They can get pretty full of stuff. And I wanted to avoid that. That's fact number one. The second thing that I don't really like so much about altars is the same thing that bothers me about tabletops, cupboards, drawers, countertops. I don't like these things. If I had it my way, I would get rid of all the cabinet doors in my home, because in my mind, any flat surface is just asking for clutter, for one thing, and any closed space is asking for us to put things in there and forget about them. And for me, and the way that I have set up my lifestyle, if I don't see it, I don't use it. If I don't use it, it does not have a purpose. I should not have it. So that is my main issue, is that although I love beautiful altars, the traditional altar has become kind of a cluttered space in my mind. And I want to do things differently. As I've mentioned in the past, I would rather have all of my spiritual and religious reminders just kind of spread out around me so that I can see them and be reminded by them in everything that surrounds me. I find that personally to be more effective, because if I have an altar or maybe a couple of altars set up in specific places, I won't see them all the time. I have to be near that altar in order to be reminded by it. And then it's kind of hit or miss how much spiritual regularity I get, you know? I have a blog post that hopefully will be up when this video is. If not, it will be soon, but when that is up, I will link it in the description, because it does go over more of the traditional altar and the importance of it. But what I want to talk about now is this kind of alternative altar idea. Why is an altar important? Well, an altar is important because it keeps you connected to your divine practice, whatever that is. If that's spiritualism, witchcraft, religion, whatever it is. It is a visual reminder that you need to connect with your higher self. Which, by the way, if you are feeling that disconnect, you may want to look into your intuitive powers. Your intuition. Your intuition is your direct link between you and the divine. So if you feel there is any disconnect there, I highly recommend that you take a look at the freebie I have linked in the description for you. It is a witch's 4-step guide to improving your intuitive power. But back to our theme. Why is an altar important? Because it reminds you of what you're supposed to be doing to maintain spiritual balance. Because we are spiritual beings. And if we only focus on this mundane world and just surviving, we inevitably feel as though we're missing something. There's a piece of us that isn't there. And that is where this divine connection comes in. We can bring in that divine energy and feel whole. So altars help with that. In addition, altars very often contain tools and materials that help us along our way. In the grand scheme of things, these tools are not necessary because you are the divine tool. You are the ultimate divine tool because you were made by divine. However, if we are not used to thinking of ourselves that way, if we're not used to using the intuitive powers that we have, that we maybe don't know that we have, it can be more difficult. So this is where an altar becomes a useful center of divine accessories. So whether that is candles, incense, herbs, crystals, whatever you have, whatever you use that helps you connect to your sense of spirituality, all of that can be placed on the altar, and then you always have it at hand in, spur of the moment when you want to connect with divine. So an altar is also very good for that part of your spiritual life. Altars are also very important for ritual, which I've mentioned in my video on traditional altars. They are the place where all of the ritual materials are kept, and by maintaining the altar, you can make sure that you have everything you need when you want to have your ritual. So an altar is a very good central space for both formal ritual and informal observance. And you will know by regular interaction with your altar that you have everything that you need when you need it. So it's good from that perspective as well. The location of your altar can be significant. If you are following a particular religion, that religion may dictate what locations, either in the house or what cardinal points might be best energetically for you to set up your altar. And the whole purpose of this is to, again, align and balance things energetically so that you have the best outcome of whatever work gets done at that altar. The altar also helps us to stay connected to nature, because very often we will have natural things on the altar, whether that is things we have collected from nature walks, maybe some rocks, maybe some twigs or leaves or flowers, pressed flowers, what have you. Fresh flowers, many people keep fresh flowers on the altar. You may have some water, and I know a lot of witches like to collect moon water, spring water, what have you. All of those natural elements typically get put on the altar, so it's a very good way to maintain that nature energy and connect to it as often as you can, even when you maybe can't go outside. Maybe the weather is bad. Maybe you live downtown in a big city and it's harder to get out to nature. This is your own little natural oasis in the form of your altar. So it's very useful that way as well. But let's talk about alternatives. I'm probably going to go into more depth in this later, but the altar as it relates to my thought and theory and idea of sacred space, of my home, my entire home being sacred space. I like to incorporate these tools and symbolism and natural elements all over the house. And I am really looking forward to sharing that with you as I go through and revamp the different spaces in this new home to make them mine. And as I do that, I want to point out to you, this is why this feels like a sacred space to me. This is how I'm incorporating elements of an altar into my decor, for example. So I think that will be fun. Let me know if you agree that that would also be fun. And I think that's about it for this just basic idea of the home altar and setting up a sacred space. Remember, did I tell you? I don't know. Well, if I did, this is a repeat. If not, I'm telling you now, there should be a blog post on this theme available. If not already, then soon. Either way, when it is available, it will be in the description. And that post will talk a little bit more about the traditional altar, the general idea of an altar, of a more traditional altar. And as I go along with my non-traditional ideas of altars, I will update you on that as well. So until then, everyone, blessed be, and I'll see you soon.